Billionaire businessman Richard Branson can be heard touting the importance of communication in almost all interviews. He even wrote an entire blog post dedicated to his favorite quotes on the subject. He himself has said on numerous occasions, communication is the most important skill any leader can possess. Hi, and welcome back to Through a Rosy Window into Wellness. I'm Bev, counseling hypnotherapist, author, and your host for this episode on communication. Richard Branson is not alone in his sentiment. Dale Carnegie's famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is one of the best-selling books of all time. Written in 1936, it has sold over 30 million copies to date and is still going strong. The popularity of Carnegie's book today shows the principles and importance of good communication are timeless and transcend the entire spectrum of relationships. Mr. Branson discusses the importance of these skills in business, and any counselor will attest to the importance of good communication skills being the cornerstone of relationships with friends and family. In 1967, doctors McRamian, Weiner, and Ferris concluded that communication was 7% words, 38% tone, and 55% body language. And there have been articles that have quoted that 93% of communication is body language and only 7% is a spoken word. Dr. Mehrabian did calculate those numbers through a series of studies. However, it has been noted that these percentages do depend on the content of the conversation, language barrier, the means of communication, as well as proximity of the subjects who were communicating. Most experts in the field of communication today will agree that nonverbal aspect of communication could fall somewhere between 70 and 93%, depending on those other factors that may be present. Although we may not have a definite percentage for the spoken or unspoken, we can be sure that our body language speaks volumes. Learning to stay positive and open-minded will surely lead your posture and gestures to extend those feelings to those you are greeting. Being welcoming and opening to communication will put others at ease and is likely to encourage reciprocation. Body language, including tone and volume, will have an impact on others, and as we become more aware of our own body language, we will perhaps be able to tune in more closely to how others are feeling in a conversation. This adds to connection and clarity and more meaningful interactions. Words can be chosen very carefully, but the cues that we pick up through body language are much less easy to be manipulated and perhaps more truthful. Studies in the fascinating field of neuroscience has uncovered what is known as mirror neurons. These neurons fire not only when a person performs a movement themselves, but those same neurons fire when they see another person performing that action. This means when you smile at that person you're talking to or nod your head in agreement, their neurons are firing the same as if they had done those movements themselves. And so the fun fact, smiling does make a person feel happier. And not only does this help convey meaning, but studies have shown that smiling appropriately causes others to feel warmth and also trust, which brings us to confidence and truth, which are two other key aspects of good communication. When we are honest, we can be confident in what we are saying, and others pick up on that. Truth builds trust, and when one trusts what you are saying, they will listen more attentively. When we speak of honesty, it may seem as though it's pretty straightforward. In Season 1, Episode 7, we discuss honesty in length. Sometimes being honest means telling someone you don't know the answer or that you've made a mistake, and those are examples of good communication too. Other times, honesty might mean putting ourselves in an uncomfortable position. The truth is not always what the other person wants to hear. But nonetheless, it is very important in communication. Be sure that both your words and your body language are being honest. Be clear and consistent, and be sure to connect in a way that includes empathy. It is also important to include emotion in a healthy way. Emotional awareness in self and others is key to good relationships and good communication. For more on emotional self-regulation, have a listen to episode 4. In that episode, we discuss methods to enhance emotional self-regulation for children and youth, but the same principles do apply to adults. In today's social and political climate, so many are quick to speak without considering others first, and often without really hearing what the other has said. Many consider the most important part of communication is to listen, more specifically, active listening. We're all guilty of this. We're in a conversation with another person, and while they are speaking, we are already formulating the response in our mind. This is the opposite of active listening. When we listen actively, we are better able to understand the other's perspectives, insights, and experiences. We're also better able to respond in a way that is productive and effective. It is important to practice these skills explicitly and work towards the goal of active listening as a default in all conversations. One key component of active listening is mirroring. While the speaker is talking, focus on what they are saying, staying quiet and listening carefully until you are sure they are finished. Then reflect back to them what you think you heard them say, and in a clear and concise way, show that you understood the content of their message. Seek confirmation if you have heard and understood correctly, or ask for clarification if necessary. After you're both certain that you've understood what has been said, you can then offer feedback, avoiding judgment and being clear and honest. Remember that feedback is a gift both given and received. How are we supposed to learn and grow and do better next time if we're unaware of how well we are doing now? Ask for and accept feedback graciously. A person who is open to receiving feedback and can be trusted to give honest and constructive feedback is an asset in any relationship. Not only will it build trust and communication, but it will help you and those around you to be more successful no matter what the goal. In essence, it all boils down to speaking clearly, confidently, and honestly, and to listen actively. When it is our turn to speak, we want to be sure that we are being heard and understood as we intended. So often we feel that we've gotten our point across only to learn later that we failed horribly and the other person has completely misunderstood or misinterpreted what we were trying to convey. When we speak, we can take into consideration these few tried and true points and methods that will lead us to greater success. As we end this episode with a relaxing guided meditation, we hope that you will remember to listen in next time as we share some actionable ways to help you instill good communication skills for your children, adding a vital tool to their toolbox for success.
Please do not play the following if you or anyone that may be listening is driving or participating in an activity that requires your undivided attention. I hope that you are ready to get comfortable and close your eyes for the next few minutes. With very busy lives, we can be so grateful to just rest, even if it's for a very short time. Notice how secure and supported you are. Perhaps you can give your muscles permission to be supported, to just relax for a moment. Do you carry tension in your shoulders like so many others? Maybe you could just check and let them rest. Let them settle in. Notice your breath. There's no need to make it deeper or slower. Just notice that natural, gentle rise and fall, that soft rhythm as you relax. Guided meditations or guided imagery can be so helpful in envisioning goals, letting your imagination find a peaceful spot to rest, to distress or unwind. But did you know that it's also a wonderful way to empower your future with your yesterdays? That's right. All of those wonderful events that you had in the past, all of those terrific times are all stored neatly in your memory. And all of the times that you have been so successful. As you listened today about communication, perhaps you thought of some of the things you hadn't thought of in a while. Maybe you were reminded of something that you had forgotten, but I bet you can think of a time that you were relaxed and comfortable, talking with a friend or a member of your family. You may even recall how easy it was to stop and listen carefully, to understand, to get clarity, how your words came effortlessly and you were able to articulate exactly what you wanted to mean. You may think that that is different than a business negotiation, or a speech, or speaking to people you don't know as well. Maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. Let your mind wander to that time of easy conversation, of the words coming effortlessly. Notice your open body language. Notice how you paused and breathed. Everything flowed so naturally. Your mind and your body just knows how to do that so easily. We can remind our mind that we can communicate effectively. We can know that if we know how to do that in one part of our life, we can demonstrate it in any other part of our life that we choose. Perhaps we need to be prepared in our content. Perhaps we need to use our breath. Perhaps we need to use the excitement that we feel to generate the energy to speak. And that is all good and normal. And we just know that we know how to communicate in any situation, just as we know that we can stay calm and grounded in any situation. As you watch and admire others who seem to speak so effectively, you know that they had to learn as well. You know that they chose to be aware of themselves and those around them. They sometimes slow down to think, or say they don't know, or even stumble on words and correct themselves without a pause. You know that you are capable, strong, and kind. You know that there are lots of occasions that you have had great discussions, and as you recall those discussions, you can visualize that wonderful quality of assertive communication in any situation. I think that we can all learn from those people who have mastered their crafts. Professional athletes, musicians. Whether you're driving, taking a holiday, or playing a game of baseball or a game of chess. Whether you're doing a speech or having a difficult conversation, there's never a need to visualize a negative outcome. We focus on the positive. We visualize all of those times that we drove that road, or we took that holiday, or we swung that baseball bat. We visualize all of the times that we were effective, all of the times that the outcome was exactly what we had hoped for. Positive recollection brings us more positive outcomes. If we make the choice to remember the triumphant occasions, no matter what we are doing, we can boost our effectiveness. As you allow your body to rest, take a nice deep breath. Remember, head held high, shoulders back, confident, competent, honest, and concise. You got this. Now notice the energy moving through your body, all of the way from the top of your head to the soles of your feet. You may just want to take a nice big stretch and yawn, and as you open your eyes, I just know that you will be looking forward to the rest of a wonderful day.